Netanyahu charged with bribery, fraud and breach of trust, capping a dramatic political year. Why does Netanyahu not just have his Department of Justice write a memo saying he can't be charged? If Netanyahu didn't say he was committing bribery, fraud, and breach of trust, then he didn't do it. Source: 30% of USA. About 30% of Israel as well probably, unfortunately. Edit, TBH thinking about it, it's probably more like 10% or less actually. There's a whole lot of people who know he's corrupt, but believe the competition is so much worse, that corruption is the least of evils. Is 30% of every population an asshole that needs to be kept in the closet, lest they release their baser natures? Yes. A third of humanity watches as another third of humanity acts like dickheads toward the other third. I also like 50% of people are absolutely stupid and reprehensible, the other 50% are slightly less stupid and reprehensible. I think Team America said it best, sometimes we need to have the assholes to keep the dicks from abusing the pussies in this world, and we need to he pussies to calm the assholes. Okay, that's probably about 50% on target, but I'm too lazy to Google the exact quote. So they identified that 30% of us are dicks, pussies and assholes in equal measure. The balance of power and the struggle is eternal. Pussies think everyone's gonna get along. And dicks are gonna fuck pussies. Meanwhile assholes just want to shit everywhere. Pussies get mad at dicks for fucking them, but they also fuck assholes. And you need dicks to fuck assholes, otherwise you get shit everywhere. If you think the wheels of justice grind slowly in America, this thing has been winding its way through Israeli justice for years and years. Billy's ability to dodge what is understood to be widespread corruption by him, his wife, and his government is a stuff of legend. Yep. I was seeing comments about the indictment is imminent this morning and thought yeah, we've been hearing this for months. I was honestly shocked to see that it has finally happened. Dude. I served in the Israeli army. It took the prosecution over a year to indict me, and the penalty was a tiny fine and demotion. This was all after I finished serving in the army too. That's just how justice works. What did you do? Hacked an IDF network because they didn't listen to me and refused to either fix it themselves or let me fix it. It's a much bigger story than that, but anything else I say and anyone with access will be able to tell which incident it is, and thus who I am, if someone were to ever crawl my comment history. Took them forever to indict me, and then when they did it, it was only a slap on the wrist, thankfully. Demoted to private though, but who cares? I was, not dishonorably, discharged before the indictment and the papers have my normal rank, with lavish praise and feedback. You'd never guess I was court-martialed twice from the documents. This is like the villain's origin story from Die Hard 4. He's not a common thief, he's an exceptional thief. Will Trump withhold aid to Israel now, since he's so concerned about corruption? The fact that even a prime minister isn't free to accept bribes without fear of the law should be a positive thing. But unless it's properly enforced, what effect does it have? Israel doesn't fuck around with corruption historically. They have a pretty lengthy history of putting politicians in jail for white-collar crimes, including presidents and prime ministers. The fraud/breach of trust charges for receiving a couple $100,000 worth of gifts from friends, like cigars, wine, etc., over the course of several years. That's your average Sunday for Trumpikins. Israel does a lot of fucked shit, I'll admit, but this is one of the things I'm most proud of as an Israeli. They set the precedent early in their history that the PM is not exempt from the law, both in writing and practice. As well it should be. The Prime Minister is the head representative of the people, and thus should be under more scrutiny and held to a higher standard than any normal citizen. For WSJ, the most serious charge, bribery, carries a sentence of up to 10 years in prison. It's insane to me that he's under investigation for bribery, but at the same time, scrambling to form a government, just to save his own ass. How can people support that? Wait, are we talking about Trump or Netanyahu? Yes. Wonderful news. The world needs fewer right-wing extremists in power, not more. Yes. And hopefully the right in Israel will crumble, and this decade of Netanyahu will go down as a shame in Israeli political history. I doubt it'll happen, but I hope so much that we'll go left. I feel this hope for the first time in my life. I'm pretty sure the aftermath of the Gaza withdrawal killed the Israeli left for at least a generation. It was more of the second intifada, a failing of Sharon, hardly a leftist, but people don't care, do they? I'm not Israeli, but I feel like the effect of the intifada was putting the left on life support, rather than killing it outright. Interested to hear your thoughts. As an Israeli leftist, we didn't die, but it's hard. I have a history teacher which is pretty right-wing, and he says he was a labor volunteer when he was younger, including during Oslo, and what changed his opinions were the intifada alone. Best of luck to you. Hope you can keep the country out of the hands of the Cheredim. I'm trying. I'm proud to have stood outside of a polling station for 13 hours last elections. Will continue to volunteer this time. Also working on a students' movement in the little spare time I have. Netanyahu failed to form a government, and so did just yesterday his opposition Benny Gantz. This might be enough pressure for at least some of the Likud to form a government under Gantz without Netanyahu in the 21 days left before elections are automatically held for the third time in a year. Lieberman, whose support was necessary to form a government in both recent elections, knew what he was doing. He saw that Netanyahu's end is near, and managed to drag the political uncertainty long enough until the indictment, so that he can take his place as leader of the right. Lieberman will never lead the right since he is an enemy of the religious parties. Traditionally the religious parties, not just Haredi, even the Mafdal which became the Jewish Home, could have went either way. In fact they even were in opposition to Netanyahu in 2012 I think it was. The ultra-Orthodox always went with the right, with a few exceptions. The Israeli Labour Party formed its government with Mapam and the Mafdal. They do, but that's mainly because the right needed them, while Israel during its left-leaning period did not. At the same time, they are able to milk out policies regarding pension, defending Mizrachi Jews, Shas, and increases in welfare within those right-leaning parties. In return they support a few extremely hawkish policies. As an Israeli, fucking finally. I hate seeing this pot dragging us through elections after elections, just to try and save his goddamn ass. Now, we could be heading to another one, but his ass is grass. Well, hopefully. Don't be so sure. The only person stopping him from being PM again, and changing the law, so that he is immune is Avigdor Lieberman. Nah man, he wasn't able to get a majority before this, now it's pretty much a done deal. Opposition parties are already singing farewells. Wow, you mean a country can just charge their leader with a crime like any other citizen? Take a hint, US DOJ. You mean the president can't be charged against? Legally technically, but the DOJ has a stupid fucking policy where they won't. That's a really an undemocratic policy for a country that proclaims itself as the freest in TG world. Look, the US says it's about a lot of things that it demonstrably isn't. But the gov has a ton of guns. And as they say, political power grows from the barrel of a gun. You're describing totalitarianism right here, mate. That's basically what we are in the middle of over here in the greatest country, or whatever it is we tell ourselves. This is why he is so desperate to remain prime minister, so he won't be charged. Hopefully it won't work, and he could go to prison, where he belongs regardless of how long the sentence is. Him being prime minister won't help him. He never managed to pass his immunity law, which means a sitting PM can still be indicted. Well, it will be easier for him as a PM to pass the law, and him being in the Knesset, but not as a PM won't help him, if the law will be passed. Please to God let at least one of these corrupt fucks do some jail time. There have been at least 2 other Israeli PMs who have served time in jail. Maybe more, I can't think of any offhand. There's definitely lots of corruption in the government, but there's also a history of these dudes being punished for it. One can only hope. I, for one, I'm sick of Bibi, and I hope he goes away for a long time. One major difference between any politician that served time and Bibi is that they had a shred of respect for anyone but themselves. Bibi only cares about himself. Honestly, I won't be surprised if he runs off to a foreign nation that does not have extradition agreement with Israel. He should go to Iran. Can't extradite to a country that doesn't exist.